Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Bengal Tiger podcast. I'm Billy Embody. This is Shea Dixon. We are live in person together, coming at you guys on this Friday. It has been a busy week for LSU, kicking off this summer of camps, and Wednesday was a really solid one for a midweek one, Shea. But before we get to the camp stuff, one, it's good to be here. Good to be back in Baton Rouge. Had some good food. Had Phil's the other day. Superior. We're doing all the things. But we have a commitment date now for one of LSU's top targets. Joel Rogers, the four-star safety from West Feliciana, has canceled his Alabama visit. And now Monday, June 12th at 5:30 at his high school is going to announce a commitment. Big news for LSU here.
Yeah, top 5 player in the state. And we've talked about them wanting to lock down Louisiana this cycle. And right now, 5 of the top 10 players on On3 Sports are already committed. 5 of the top 10 in Louisiana, I should say, are already committed to a college, all 5 of them to LSU. And we've mentioned at any point in this recruiting process, Billy, or cycle, only one player from Louisiana's offer list has committed elsewhere. That was Juwan Johnson out of LCA. He committed to Colorado. He then decommits from Colorado, flips that commitment to LSU. So half of the top 10 already committed. You get Joel Rogers. He's the number 4 player in the state right now, a top 20 safety on On3. We've talked about how big safety in high school is a need for them. Maurice Williams is in. He's a top 20 player at the position. Deshaun McBride is in. He's a top 20 player at the position. Now you're looking at adding Joel Rogers. We both have our On3 RPM picks in. So does Sam Spiegelman. So this one trending very much in LSU's direction after they shut things down with, remember, he was going to have like an LSU official visit, Bama, TCU. He didn't do any of them. He visited LSU unofficially. That's good. They saved the official for closer to signing day is what we're told. But the two-way player, quarterback, safety out of West Feliciana, we are a few days out now from potentially pretty good news for LSU. This is someone we both love too.
Yeah, I really like Joel Rogers, and look, he plays quarterback up there in the St. Francisville area. But when you look at his ability as an athlete, I think even though it's kind of mixed bag here or there on guys transitioning to the other side of the ball, I'm pretty confident on Joel Rogers. I just think athletically, his build, he really looks the part.
Yeah, we talked about this before too. Like if people remember Ray Darius Jones, who came out of Mississippi as a highly ranked corner, but he had only played quarterback. Joel Rogers at least plays DB right now. He plays both ways. So that jump to playing full-time safety or DB, I think they view him as a guy who could play in the nickel, could play safety. A lot of safeties have that kind of blend to them. So versatile, but yes, the fact that he's already playing DB cuts down that learning curve.
Yeah, he does it too in 7-on-7. He's committed to it. Juwan Johnson does do that at times, but at LCA they take up a lot of his time with quarterback. But Joel Rogers puts in the work in the secondary.
Yeah, I think this is coming together as a really good DB class. We'll talk more about corner in a little bit, but safety, if you can start off with those 3, including the 2 best safeties in Louisiana, you're in a really good spot.
Yeah, maybe we need to start, having an actual, studio for some of these commitments nearby. These guys are doing them at their high schools. We can, get them going, get a desk and everything.
We just roll up to the high school though.
Yeah, that's true.
That was easy enough. I've already been to St. Francisville once. So for Trades Green at East Feliciana. So now go back to West Feliciana.
Time to book a stay at the inn.
Yeah.
LSU did have plenty of top targets and prospects on campus for this first elite camp of the summer on Wednesday. And the rain kind of held off. They warmed up inside, a little lightning in the area. But after that, it was a hot Louisiana Wednesday for these guys. Camp wrapped up around 7 after running, about 4 o'clock or so. But man, Joe Sloan, who, by the way, if Joel Rogers does commit to LSU, which we think, shout out him, shout out Terry Cooks, a lot of this recruiting staff that has just put in
Frank
the work.
Wilson,
yeah,
a lot of people behind the scenes.
Yep, this is to get a guy like this who was going to visit Alabama. It says a lot. But on the camp side of things, Joe Sloan had another really impressive crop of quarterbacks, and we've seen this now 2 straight summers of guys coming in and throwing, and LSU standing pat on the offers they have in the 2025 class. They had Deuce Knight On3's number 4 quarterback on campus. They had Keelan Russell, a big riser in the On3 2025 on 300. Keldon Ryan holds offers from a lot of places. So 2 Dallas area quarterbacks there. They had a bunch of quarterbacks that are, have offers, and we're not even going to talk about the 2026s that were there, but no new offers from Joe Sloan.
I'm not overly surprised. I thought Deuce Knight may be able to grab an offer. As you said, he's a top 5 quarterback in the country and on 3. Those quarterback rankings are going to keep shuffling, so we'll see ultimately what they look like. But it's pretty firm at the top of a consensus field that George McIntyre and Bryce Underwood are Bryce being the number 1, George being the number 2 quarterbacks in America. We're talking about for next year's class because they already have Colin Hurley, who as we speak is on campus right now, committed for 2024. So Joe Sloan gets to put that focus onto the future. Carter Smith out of Florida is a guy he's had his eye on. He's the number 3 quarterback in the country. Ty Hawkins is a guy they've looked at, but you mentioned Keelan Russell coming in. He's a top 10 quarterback. So they've got their eyes on all these guys, but no new offers yet. And in fact, the only guys who've been offered outside of Underwood and McIntyre was St. Clair, who came, a week ago to campus.
And private workout. Yeah.
And, worked out for him then. But regardless, they offered him. We think he's probably going to go to Ohio State. So you're sort of still looking. I don't think they'll go forever with just Underwood and McIntyre, and maybe they get one of them. But you see them throw in person and you don't offer on the spot. That just shows me they're not force feeding things. They're going to continue to push out their evals.
And I've seen Keelan Russell throw. I've seen Keldon Ryan throw this spring. I didn't think any of those 3 guys should pick up an offer at that stage coming off of their throwing sessions. Just I think all 3 were, inconsistent, but showed flashes.
Yeah, and I like Russell a lot too.
Yeah.
You got to remember these kids are coming off their sophomore year.
Yeah.
So they've got a lot of time left to develop. We'll see where the quarterback board goes, but kudos again to Sloan. For the second year in a row, they had a lot of the top guys in. Yeah. And Underwood will be back in here soon, and McIntyre just visited. So busy month for quarterbacks.
Yeah, no question. We'll see if Carter Smith shows up. That would be one to watch if he swung through. But yeah, Bryce Underwood, the 5-star, number 1 overall prospect, is going to be in Baton Rouge next weekend. So that's big. It's his only unofficial visit he set for June that we know of, unless he's quietly taking some.
And it's kind of LSU versus Michigan.
Yeah, right at this stage, yeah, for sure.
Especially if St. Clair goes to Ohio State.
Yep. There was only one offer that came out of the Elite Camp.
A little surprising, but the second Elite Camp is going to be the big one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we did get to see a lot of young kids from Louisiana, and we'll go through them over time. But a lot of like 9th and 10th graders coming out of the New Orleans area, South Louisiana, that will eventually be players. But yes, only one new offer. And it went to a young buck who did not look young.
Who has not stepped foot in a high school yet, but he
goes to a good one.
He is going to go to a good one. He's going to DeSoto High School, going to start his freshman year. That's 2027 wide receiver Ethan Booby Feaster. And boy, Booby, they let him spin at LSU Elite Camp.
He put on a show. He was clearly the best guy there, and they pulled the trigger with an offer. He's got good size. He doesn't look like a kid who's about to be in 9th grade. And he's already stacked up offers. No surprise to see LSU in it. They've signed kids out of DeSoto before. Mm-hmm. So Jalen Mills, there's been others.
Ed
Ingram most recently. So it's a school that, yes, puts out a lot of talent, but those kids go out of state too.
And they did a good job recruiting Jonte Cook too. And that was just, he ends up going to Texas. Sometimes it's tough to just overcome that. But yeah, and Claude Mathis, the head coach there, know him really well. He's been high on what Kerry Cooks and the whole staff is doing, really re-engaging in Dallas.
They have, in a big way.
Really
beyond it, it's not just a LSU Houston thing anymore. They're really into Dallas.
Yeah.
Good time to be into Dallas.
Yeah, right.
Duncanville and a lot of good schools up there right now.
Yeah. So nice offer there from LSU. Another note, I think we both kind of thought Kylan Billio out of Terrebonne, the 2024 wide receiver. We talked about Louisiana wide receivers. Maybe somebody emerges. He's looking like a guy that is right on the doorstep of getting it.
He worked out in silver, which was like the tight ends or jumbo receivers. He's put on some good mass since we saw him a year ago. We've got to remember he was a basketball kid. So he's so fresh into football. This past year was his first year playing full-time football. I think he's one they're going to want to watch as a senior. But look, remember last year, and Michael Turner from John Curtis was there as well at receiver. Yeah. Matt Mayfield is a guy we've talked about out of Beauchene. He's committed to Mississippi State. There's some thought he could go the JUCO route. So Kobe Young at Holy Cross. There's still guys out there. Kobe Young has an offer, but I think whether it's Michael Turner, whether it's a guy like Kylan Billio from down in the Homa area, you watch that first month of their senior year, see how they are compared to look at the rest of your receiver board and then go from there. Because we remember last year, even in state, Dylan Carpenter got an offer after his first month of his senior season. So offers can still come in Louisiana. I'm not worried that one didn't come out of the first elite camp. We still have more camps to go. So hell, Ashton Stamps worked out at like 4 camps last year at LSU before he got his offer. So more to come, but not shocked that they didn't pull the trigger just yet on anybody.
Yeah. Speaking of pulling the trigger, everybody needs to pull the trigger on checking out our friends at Rogue Shop.
Yep.
RogueShop.com. And because we're on the solo pod, the promo isn't going to look right on YouTube. But Bengal Tiger, one word, is your promo code for 10% off everything on Rogue Shop. Richard and Shar, husband and wife, veteran-owned business, small craft cannabis shop. They do everything by hand. And look, I mean, we both slept like rocks last night.
Yeah.
I mean, they just.
I don't know if that was all Rogue Shop, but
yeah, shout out
yes.
Superior. We need that.
Yes, that's
Still
right.
working for that angle on the sponsorship.
Rogue Shop's been great to us. We've talked about my long flight back from Rome. The gummies helped out in a big way. So whether it's tinctures, gummies, they have lollipops, pre-rolls, everything. And tinctures being kind of what you can drop in like your tea or water or whatever it might be. They've got that homegrown CBD kind of new age push of what everyone's doing locked down. And I like that it's them, it's in-house, everything's done through, it's kind of very above ground with everything they've got out in Oregon. Well, I think where they Colorado and
Wisconsin.
Well, no, they've also got their grow stuff in different places as well.
Yes.
I think one might be in California, one might be in Colorado. We can check that. But says it on the website. And if you get on the website, Shar will just tell you right away.
Yeah, they'll chat with you and help you kind of navigate the journey of what you need. What's the right
we've got a lot of good feedback from people on the board who've gotten on there. They've never bought from Rogue Shop before. They get walked through it, and it comes in a hurry.
Yeah.
It's in your mailbox in a few days.
No doubt. So shout out Rogue Shop as always for their support of the podcast. We appreciate them.
Bengal Tiger promo code. That gets you free shipping, and that cuts into the free shipping and probably a little bit of the product. So you're covered.
10% off. We do switch over to the defensive side of the ball here for multiple reasons. We're going to talk about LSU's lone official visitor this weekend, at least as of now. But we've seen some really good performances at LSU camps over the years at many different positions. But Andre Evans out of the Nashville area, 2024 4-star defensive back that we at On3 have knocking on the door of the top 100, or is he
top 100.
Number 73?
Yeah, he's in the top 100.
84, number 84 overall prospect.
And he's a 3-star everywhere else. Yep. So shout out to Charles and Power and Cody Belair, who's down here at camp, the two guys who run the rankings for us. They were out front on this one. This was a kid, when I talked to Charles about it too and said, man, he tore up camp. I said, I can't believe we're the only ones who have him ranked as a 4-star, let alone top 100. And he was like, his film's great. He runs a 10.5. And now if he's going to go out to LSU camp and put on a show like that, and then we got a hold of his measurements. I mean, we're talking about a kid with like 34-inch arms, almost 10-inch hands. He ran sub 4.5 at LSU camp. He was excellent. Brian Kelly pulled him aside for a long chat, and we didn't see him do that with many guys at this first elite camp. It's clear from just seeing it. And look, he's picked up Bama, Georgia, LSU, all those offers here recently. By camping, right. LSU's in a good spot here.
Yes.
LSU is in a good spot for the Nashville product. Coming out of CPA. We don't have picks in. Maybe we should. Maybe we're getting close. But
he's supposed to drop his top 5. By the time you're listening to this, it's probably dropped, but I could probably guess what it is. He's got NC State and Michigan official visits scheduled for later this month, including, I think does he go somewhere this weekend? Or no, they're both next weekend. The next 2 weekends. And then LSU, Alabama, and Georgia, those are the 3 schools he told us are pushing up his list. But he's got some ties to Louisiana.
Yeah.
You can tell the environment of Brian Kelly's program really stands out to him and the people that are in his camp in a big way. I mean, he's one that really just makes sense.
We've needed to see which corners pop up that aren't Wardell Mack, that aren't someone in state. Like, who out of the state can you really go get? We've worked through a number of names. We got to Kai Bates, who's a guy we're high on. We think LSU's got a good shot at. A lot of teams are battling for him. Now we're firmly also on Andre Evans.
Yeah,
And like you said,
a beast.
I think LSU leads. Billy think LSU leads. And we've heard that from sort of a number of people behind the scenes just because of how not just the camp went, but the visit went. I think an official visit would push that over the top even more. This is lining up to be for Robert Steeples a chance to really pop someone who already is, but will be one of the biggest names at corner in this cycle.
Yeah, and last year, and for those who think, Friday Night Lights is what matters, which is it does, but we saw Jermaine Matthews, who ended up being a 5-star.
Yeah, I love that comp
at LSU camp last summer,
and he was like a 3-star with like no offers at the time.
He was committed to Cincinnati,
maybe, but he went in camp.
He wasn't what he was.
He went in camp.
We're actually out in front on this one, but it was middling in the 4-star, like getting into the 4-star range, and he tore it up.
Yeah,
and there's just guys that every summer you sit there and watch them, and if you're a casual fan or you're a hardcore recruitnik, you can go out to LSU camp and you can pick out a guy and say that he's going to be playing on Sundays.
So Charles Power heard a bit and watched Jermaine Matthews before, but had not seen him in person yet. And after he saw him at LSU's camp last summer, just one day, he's like, this kid's easily one of the best corners in the country. And he finished as like, number 1 or 2 corner in the country.
He was the number one or 2. Yeah.
Got an Ohio State offer right after that LSU win, committed to Ohio State, stayed home. But yes, like it was that type of day for Andre Evans where he goes out there and you're like, this guy's so much better than everybody else.
Yeah.
So shout out to Andre Evans.
Yeah.
Andre with an O.
Yeah. Andre with an O. Yeah. So that was a big one. Another national name that we have circled, already is circled, 2026 defensive lineman Lamar Brown.
Yeah, I thought of the O-line, D-line group. He was the best, and he worked on the D-line. I know if you go on his On3 profile, you'll see he's listed as an offensive tackle. He's only just finished his freshman year at U-High, so he's on LSU's campus already. We saw Keelan Moses, Dylan Moses' little brother out there. A lot of U-High coaches were out there at camp. They'll have their team out there Saturday for the 7-on-7. So this is a kid who's going to spend a lot of time around LSU, but almost 6'4". He's in that 255, 260 range and can play either side of the ball. And Jimmy Lindsey worked him out on the defensive line. That was predominantly where he did work out. A little bit of O-line, but mostly D-line. And I think that's great news because they need D linemen in the state. Yeah. And Lamar Brown looks like he's going to be one of the best in the country. LSU, Georgia, a ton of teams have already offered. LSU is the team to beat.
Yeah.
And I don't think it'll last forever. At some point, he'll get on board. But great kid.
Awesome.
In really good shape already. No bad weight. It's not like he's just clay to mold from just like a really big 300-pound kid. He is in great shape for the age he is. We don't have rankings yet for 2026, but he'll be one of the best players in the country. We loved him at camp. They didn't hand out any new O-line, D-line offers. They handed out 5 the week before at the first O-line, D-line camp. No new ones this time. We saw some young guys in Louisiana from around the area, but there was no doubt Lamar Brown was the best.
Yeah, and look, LSU is going to have a big weekend, and it's already starting off. You've got O-line, D-line camp. You've got 7-on-7 on Saturday. But a lot of these guys are coming in for unofficial visits. We've seen Devin Harper, the 4-star offensive lineman from Captain Shreve, say he's coming in today, so he'll get a visit started.
James Simon,
the 4-star running back out of the Shreveport area in the 2025 class, both 2025 prospects. But one I want to hit on just quickly before we get to the official visitor, Amari Adams, the 2025 4-star defensive tackle from the state of South Carolina. And this is important because you put some tidbits on the board, and this makes a ton of sense that Jimmy Lindsey's getting him in as soon as he could.
Yeah, I think what Jimmy Lindsey, the new D-line coach, who came from South Carolina as the D-line coach, and he's from right on the border of South and North Carolina, so he knows the area well. I think he used that first month really to get a feel for where LSU's board was and kind of who was leaning where. And they've already got some D-line commits, Ahmad Bro, Demarion Johnson out of Louisiana. I guess Kalaj Collins is an edge linebacker type, but I don't know if I'm forgetting anyone else, but those are,
yeah.
Is there another D lineman in there that we're forgetting? No. So Dominic McKinley's the best player in Louisiana. He's a defensive lineman. It starts and ends there. It doesn't end there. It starts there. You got to have him in the class.
You got to have him.
We know about, and Colin Simmons and CJ Jackson, all these kids are edge rushers. When we're talking about hand in the dirt, D linemen, interior guys, they have to go out and find them. And I think Jimmy Lindsey used that first month to gauge, hey, where are we at with a lot of these guys? And what do we have to do to either play catch up or hold on to the lead, whatever it might be. And then you see stuff like, what's my guy's name that basically it says, look, LSU is like one of my top 2 schools, puts out a top 5. They're not even in it.
Oh, Kamarian Franklin, the 4-star defensive lineman from Mississippi.
That happened during an O-line D-line camp, and Jimmy Lindsey is having to then coach up O-line D-line and wonder, hey, what's going on with this kid who just told me y'all are one of my top teams?
And I'm coming for an official at the end of the month.
I've got my official at the end of the month, but hey, now you're not even in my top 5. So I think we've hit a point right now where Jimmy Lindsey's going to say, I'm going to go back and start kicking the tires. A lot of guys I recruited at South Carolina. You look at a guy like Amari Adams coming out of Lake City, playing at South Florence, a top 150 prospect, a number 13 D lineman in the country, number 1 player in South Carolina. Makes all the sense in the world.
Yep.
If I'm LSU, I'm telling Jimmy Lindsey, go back out and recruit the guys you're recruiting from that area into the Southeast, because he's got a lot of guys he's in on in 2025, but we're in 2024. They need some guys now. I think this was a big one for him to almost just say, hey, look, Amari, let's get you back in the mix here. And within a week, he's on campus.
Yeah, this is big. And 6'6", 250. I mean, that's a good looking prospect, just on paper alone. So that was a big unofficial visitor. There's a lot of unofficial visitors coming in. Draylon Miller, the 4-star wide receiver out of the Houston area, will be here. Colin Hurley's back to recruit. I'm sure we'll see a bunch of commits on campus this weekend. So Saturday is going to be fun. But the biggest news of the weekend, at least as of now, because Monday hasn't happened yet, is that LSU is hosting 4-star Duncanville defensive lineman Alex January. So
Duncanville. They don't stop.
Here we are again, another Duncanville prospect. We had an update at thebengaltiger.com. Subscribe, $1 for 3 months is the deal that we have running right now. You can get the Founders Club hat. We hooked up some people with new ones this week, and we'll be tracking this official visit. And this is a big one. Look, his dad, Mike, played linebacker at the University of Texas. Texas is the On3 recruiting prediction machine leader. Makes a ton of sense to me. But LSU does have some ties to play here. They're all from Lake Charles. Grandparents, both sides, are still in Lake Charles. If there's a school that's going to unseat Texas, LSU is the best shot.
Yeah, and you've known his dad for a while now. Great people. Yeah. But they've already visited LSU before this spring, so they know coming in what to expect. Now they're going to get that red carpet treatment of really spending a lot of time with the staff. And him being the lone official visitor means that all eyes are on him. He'll get to meet Jimmy Lindsey, who is the new defensive line coach, as we talked about. That'll be key for them just in terms of a relationship. I don't think January has set a date yet. Has he?
No, and I think he's going to, as of now, I don't know if he'll end up taking the Oklahoma official visit he's talked about at the end of July, which means I expect a decision in July.
Before his senior season.
Before his senior season. They want it out
These
of the way.
Duncanville kids got to lock in. They've got a state title to defend.
Yes, they do.
If they lose a game, I'm going to be very upset with them.
There's only one that's, I think, going to take it all the way to signing day at this point.
His name's Colin Simmons.
He is, not Colin Hurley.
No, I've mixed that one up before. But we've talked a ton about Duncanville, obviously. Caden Durham, really, the running back, is the number 1 running back on their wish list. Colin Simmons is the number 1 edge rusher on their wish list. Then you look at Alex January, who we have him listed 6'5", 322. That's a pure nose type interior guy, which he would be right up there on the wish list of guys who fit that sort of bill in terms of how you would use him at the next level. So I like weekends like this one because it's just going to be interesting to watch. Like you mentioned, your dad went to Texas. You live in Texas. But if there is a team that's going to unseat you, it could be an LSU that's already gotten visits, as you mentioned, that's got family from Lake Charles.
They love the food.
That's got good food. I love how you put that out there, that the food's got to be on point this week.
Yeah.
Which I don't think LSU will let them down there. But these are good weekends when you're not considered the team to beat. When you're not like, hey, we got to mess this one up not to get him. It's what can we do to battle here? And you roll the dice and you see what you can do. So he's a guy we've talked about for a while, and now it's his official visit weekend. We'll see if they can move the meter.
Yeah, no question. So busy month just overall. Up.
We'll be at you mentioned O-line, D-line on Saturday again because they will have the 7-on-7. That'll be teams from all over the state. So every high school team brings theirs. This isn't like club 7-on-7 or whatever you call those teams. This is high school 7-on-7. So high school teams will be out there. Always a good chance for the LSU staff to then mingle with all those coaches. That's good. It's one of the biggest events every summer on campus.
It's fun, man.
getting kids out there. Well, you just got to go stand in the sun for like 8 hours, but
we train all year for it.
We do. And then next week they'll do a Friday Night Lights or a nighttime camp.
Yeah.
What is that?
The 16th.
The 16th?
Yep.
Is the next one. Let's see what
and then they'll do a morning elite camp on the 17th, and that one's gonna be big. Friday Night Lights, I think this is that'll be a good, right? Yeah.
Friday Night Lights is the 16th, and the next one's that morning.
And it could be a pretty big weekend there in Baton Rouge overall.
They've got a hell of a lot of officials too. And unofficials, Bryce Underwood and them coming in.
Yep. Colin Hurley will be back at Elite 11, but
that
the next 2 weekends are massive.
Weekend. Yeah, I guess next 2 weekends, but next weekend I think specifically will be one of the biggest weekends we'll see.
Oh yeah,
in terms of recruiting.
Yeah, it's the back half of this month is going to be a lot of fun for LSU fans. You've got to jump on board with the site. $1 for 3 months. We've got a big visit weekend next weekend with some guys that they could really, one of which I think they can really make a move on. We'll preview all that next week on the pod, but they do have a ton of visitors coming in on the 23rd weekend as well. That's the weekend that you circle where it can make or break a top 5 finish.
Yeah, maybe so.
Maybe.
It's just because so many of these big name kids are coming in. We could also see guys like Andre Evans add their name to a visitor list. Kids who
Joseph Jonah Ajonye.
See how if you get it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But we could still see some names be added to it like that they're starting to heat up on. So this weekend, Alex, January, they can catch their breath with just one guy because it's about to. I mean, we're looking at the list now. You can check it out on on3.com, Bengal Tiger. But shoot, well over 15 guys the next 2 weekends.
Yeah,
after this one.
Yeah, so
maybe some commits. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. Probably end of June, early July. This thing once again, just like last year. I mean, these kids.
Remember this time last year, they said that LSU couldn't recruit, and we were telling because they had like 3 commits. Right, guys, they're evaluating everyone. They just got here, and I think they between July 1st and the start of the season rolled off like 16 commits.
Yeah,
because everyone likes to just do it before their senior year. That's kind of a thing now. So.
And they like to do it while I'm on my honeymoon too.
You're not going on another one, are you?
No, not to my knowledge.
I'm the only one to take a trip. You don't. Yeah. You got to stay here.
So a lot of great things to come on the Bengal Tiger. Your updated class predictions on Monday as well.
Yeah, and I got a big story coming on Monday just about Louisiana and the importance of recruiting it. So then Joel Rogers commits that night. Busy Monday.
Yeah.
Busy Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday will be easy.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
This is gonna be good stuff. So
we've actually got a run. We've got a date with a board member, a subscriber.
Yes, we do. So we're excited about that. If you guys see us around, come say what's up. We'll get some things on the schedule. Maybe fall camp, have a little get together.
Yes,
down here, a little season preview.
I've already got people in. I've got people in the DMs already on the site saying Baton Rouge area. Let's put together a meetup. So we'll do that before the season.
Awesome. All the more reason why you need to subscribe. $1 for 3 months. We're growing like crazy. Approaching 4,000 subscribers on the site. Pretty wild in just a year-ish. So subscribe today. Get your free hat. I keep bumping up the Founders Club, the Founders hat thread on the board in case you need it, or you can just email us. So with that, we're going to shut this one down. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and we will have wall-to-wall coverage of O-line, D-line camp, 7-on-7, and more at thebengaltiger.com. So for Shea Dixon, I'm Billy Embody. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Bengal Tiger Podcast.